Hey everyone, so today we are making the Sussie bird. I actually don't know the pronunciation of it, but anyway, we're making that bird from Kpop Demon Hunters. And as you can see, we've got a very cute look here. We've got the hat that's already kind of embedded in the crochet design. We've got the eyes, the tail, the little wings, and of course, the bird body. So I think you guys are going to enjoy this one, and then you can make it for yourselves as well. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, because I do make these free tutorials for you, and we need all the help that we can get to keep this YouTube channel running. So guys, let's get straight into it. Hope you enjoy. In terms of the materials that you'll need today, I use 4-ply cotton yarn. So this is 4-ply milk cotton yarn, but feel free to use any other yarn type that you're used to as well. This pattern should be universal, so no problem there. I will be using, of course, black and white, and that's all the colors that you'll need except for this autumn yellow or gold. If you have, use that for the eyes. Then we will also need to be using a 1.9mm hook, but feel free to use anywhere between a 1.75 and a 3mm hook if you're using this 4-ply cotton yarn, or you can use your regular needle that you're used to, or sorry, not needle, hook that you're used to with your regular yarn that you're also used to. You'll also need some fiber filling to stuff that body. You will need a sewing or tapestry needle. In my case, I've been using this really cool leather needle because I love how it flows in and out of those stitches super smoothly. So I've been using this. And then, of course, you'll need a couple of pins just to pin those wings and tail in place before you start sewing. And that is all you will need for your materials. So let's get straight into making this piece. So we are going to start off with using our black colored yarn right here. And we're going to be making a magic ring. Now, if you have never made a magic ring or never crocheted before, go check out my crochet tutorials playlist for beginners. Go check that out, master some of those techniques in there, and then come back here and you'll be ready to do all of the tutorials that I make for you. And so we are making that magic ring, and when we come in here to make our single crochet stitch, we're going to make the single crochet stitch as follows. We'll have the yarn come underneath the hook first, and then the yarn will come over the hook. So I just want to make that really clear for you guys, because most beginners are used to going yarn over and then yarn over again. But for amigurumi, I would suggest either using the yarn under and then yarn over technique, or the yarn under technique. I'll link a video over here just showing you the differences between that. Okay, so we're going to make 5 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. So that's number 5 right there. And then we're going to pull the yarn tail so we can close that magic ring. Make it such that there are no gaps in that magic ring. And then we are going to, now completely up to you how you want to do this. You can either crochet in a spiral or you can crochet with a slip stitch and chain 1. So for crocheting in a spiral, I would recommend using a stitch marker if you have one. Super simple stitch markers could be something like a bobby pin, a little piece of yarn that you can just put in place before you start that next stitch. Completely up to you how you want to do it. This one had a slip stitch in place, and I can't actually see where that slip stitch is. So I might just, for the purposes of this tutorial, just have the slip stitch and chain 1 after each round. So there's my slip stitch and chain 1. In the second round, you're going to be making an increase in every stitch space. So that just means you're making 2 single crochet stitches in each stitch space. So this now is the beginning of my second increase. So there's my first single crochet stitch, and here is the second single crochet stitch in that same space. And you're just going to complete that all the way around, and it will give you a total of 10 single crochet stitches after the completion of round number 2. So here we are in the last and final 5th stitch space of round 1, making an increase to finish off our 10 stitches, and then I'm just coming into the first stitch of that round 2, making a slip stitch and chain 1, and now we're ready for round number 3. For the next 2 rounds, so this is rounds 3 and 4, all you'll be doing is just making single crochet stitches in every stitch space. So that will be a total of 10 single crochet stitches for rounds 3 and 4. So once you've finished round 4, let's come back together and start round 5 together. For round number 5, so we've just finished rounds 3 and 4, and now we're up to round number 5. And in round number 5, we're going to be working in the back loops only. And the reason for that will be made clear a little bit later, because we're going to be using those front loops. So come in here in those back loops and just make a total of, again, 10 single crochet stitches for round number 5. So super easy. You're just working this time in the back loops all the way around. Once you finish round 5, let's come together again for round numbers 6 and 7. Round 5 is now complete, and see how we've got that front loop left over? We're going to be using that a little bit later. But for round 6 and 7, super easy again. You're just working those 10 single crochet stitches all the way around. So that's again for the next 2 rounds, rounds 6 and 7. Round 6 and 7 are now complete. So for round 8, we're going to do the following. This is an increase round, but we'll start off with 4 single crochet stitches. So here's number 2, number 3, and number 4. And after this 4th single crochet stitch, in the very next stitch space, you're going to be making an increase. So 1 and 2 single crochet stitches inside that 1 stitch space. And just repeat that pattern again. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochet stitches, followed by an increase, 1 and 2. And just make a slip stitch and chain 1 to finish off that round, or work in your spiral as you may be used to. For the next 2 rounds now, we're going to just be working single crochet stitches in every stitch space. So that will be a total of 12 single crochet stitches for the next 2 rounds now. For round number 11, we're going to do this. So you're going to start off with 3 increases. So here is my first increase. Here is my second increase, 1 and 2. And then here is the third increase, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet stitches. And once you've done that, then you'll just make a total of 6 single crochet stitches. So here's the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth. And then for the next 3 stitch spaces, you'll make 3 increases as well, just to finish that off. So we're just making it a little bit bigger at the back here, so we can start to get some definition for the bird body. So there we go. That's 3 increases there to finish that off, slip stitch and chain 1. For this next round, it's another increase round, and we're going to be doing the following. So you've got a single crochet stitch first, followed by an increase. And then you're going to repeat that another 2 times. So you've got single crochet stitch first, followed by an increase, 1 and 2. Let's do it one last time. So single crochet, followed by an increase, 1 and 2. Now you're going to have 6 single crochet stitches at the back here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you will do the same as you did at the beginning. So single crochet stitch first, followed by an increase. This is the first one. Single crochet stitch, followed by an increase the second time, 1 and 2. And you'll just finish it off with the single crochet and an increase. And that will be the end of this round. In that 12th round where you just finish that final increase, before you finish off that final stitch in the increase, you're going to change your yarn color to white. So grab your white colored yarn, have your 2 loops on the hook in that final stitch, and then weave in your white colored yarn through those 2 loops on the hook. And then when you come here to do your slip stitch, have those 2 yarn tails over the top of the hook, and then slip stitch, chain 1 to finish that off. Okay, so from here all we're going to do is make 24 single crochet stitches all the way around, and I'm just weaving in those 2 yarn tails for the first couple of stitches, and then so maybe 3 is enough, and then I can just leave those tails. I can also cut my black yarn. I'll find my pair of cutters in just a second, but continue on now with your 24 single crochet stitches in white. For this next round, we're going to do the following. So you're going to be making 2 increases. So 1, that's the first increase right there. And then you'll make the second increase over here. So here's the second increase. And then from here, you're just going to make 20 single crochet stitches and finish off with 2 increases at the end. So that's those final 2 stitches right here, stitch spaces. You'll make an increase here and an increase here to finish off that round. For the next 3 rounds at this point, you're going to just be making single crochet stitches in every stitch space. So that will be a total of 28 stitches for the next 3 rounds. Okay, so we've just finished those 3 rounds, and actually I'm going to tell you here, do another round of 28 single crochet stitches, so you'll have 4 rounds of just 28 single crochet stitches. We've just finished our 4 rounds of 28 single crochet stitches, and in the following rounds we will do the following. So you'll make 2 single crochet stitches first, 1 and 2, and then we're going to do something called an invisible decrease, and this is where you work in the front loop of the next stitch and then the front loop again of the very next stitch. So see how I've got those 2 front loops right there? Then we're going to pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through again, and that there is called an invisible decrease, making 2 stitches into 1. And you're just going to repeat this a total of 7 times. So 1, 2, and invisible decrease, just like that. Repeat that now another 5 times to finish off that next round. For round number 20, we're going to do the following. So we'll make first 5 single crochet stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then for the next 5 things that we'll do, we're going to be making an invisible decrease. So we'll be making a total of 5 invisible decreases. So here's the second invisible decrease. Remember, front loop again, pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through. So that's the third. Here's the 4th invisible decrease and the 5th invisible decrease right there. And then for the remaining stitches, of which there are 6, you'll just make single crochet stitches until you finish this round. For round number 21, you can either start adding your fiber filling at this point, or you can complete the next round and then add your fiber filling. Completely up to you and whatever helps you there. I think I'm going to fill it up at this point just so I can get it into the head portion as well. So grab your fiber filling and just place it inside layer by layer. You don't want to have bulk fiber filling fit in here. Filling it in layer by layer is going to help with getting it all the way up to the tip of your head, if that makes sense. So fill this up again layer by layer. Use a pair of cutters to really condense it and compress those yarn layers on top of one another, and then we'll come back together for round number 21. And I've just filled it up as best as I could, and so this is what we're looking and working with so far. We have 2 rounds to go just until we complete at least the body. So we're getting there, guys. Well done if you've reached to this point at this stage. So what we'll do is the following. We're going to make 4 single crochet stitches first. So let me just get this on my hook properly. So 4 single crochet stitches first. 1, 2, number 3 and number 4. Then make 4 decreases, invisible decreases as normal. It's just the decrease that we've been working with this entire time at this point. So that's number 2, number 3, and the final decrease coming right up. I'm just trying to find the stitch. There we go. And then just make 4 single crochet stitches to finish it off. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Slip stitch and chain 1 to finish off that round. Now you can fill this up with a little bit more fiber filling if you have, and then we'll do that last round together. For this last and final round, we are going to be making 6 decreases. Now if you worked in a spiral, feel free to only make maybe 4 or 5 invisible decreases and then slip stitch in your next stitch. You don't want this circle getting too small, but for the slip stitch and chain 1 people, let's just continue to make a total of 6 invisible decreases. So you're just working in those front loops until you've reached your 6th and final invisible decrease. And we're coming up to our very final decrease right here. Front loop, pull the yarn through again. And then for those of us who did the slip stitch and chain one, you're going to find that very first single crochet stitch of that round and make a slip stitch, and then pull the yarn through, and you're going to cut around about a 12 centimeter tail at this point. So I think I cut about 15 or even 20, but that's fine. Okay, once we have done that, you're going to grab a tapestry needle, a sewing needle, or a leather needle, which is what I have, and we are going to do the following. Grab your needle and weave the yarn tail through the eye of the needle, as you can see here. And then at the base here, all you'll be doing is coming into each of those remaining stitches in that final round and just working your needle through the front loops only those front loops, guys. And then pull the yarn through. Don't pull it too tight at this point. You're just weaving it through. So here's number 3. Here's number 4. Number 5. Just those front loops. And number 6. And then from there, all you'll be doing is pulling your yarn tail. Look how we're pulling it in that clockwise direction. I'm just going to push this in. Any bumps that you see, kind of push them in. And then come into the center of that with your needle, and then come out any point where there's white. You just want the yarn color to match at this point. And then pull at the center. Can you see how it's nice and flat at the center right there? If it's not, kind of just use your needle to make it flat and put in those bumps inside that. Just like that. And then from here, all we're going to do is start weaving the yarn tail in a diagonal across the stitch space. So you can see how there's an X that we've created, and then this diagonal strand is on top of this one underneath here. So we're going to follow that with our yarn. So just working in those diagonals. And this will create that seamless look. Don't pull it too tight, just lay it on top. And you can't even tell that we've woven in the yarn over that stitch. So that's what you're going to keep doing. Work in that diagonal, work around the stitches for about the next 3 to 4 stitches if you want. That should be like definitely enough to be able to finish this off and have the yarn tail in place nice and neatly with this not coming or unraveling later on. So there we go. Cut the excess yarn, push it in the body to hide it, and there we go, guys. We have just finished the body of our little Kpop bird. It's at this point that we're going to finish off the hat, or at least make the hat. So all you want to do is turn your bird upside down. And then you are going to find those front loops of round 4. Now we made round 5 where we went into the back loops, which means those front loops are the front loops of round number 4. And just insert your hook into one of those front loops and grab your black yarn and pull it through. Just pull it through like that. And once you've pulled it through, you're going to chain 1. Chain 1 right there. Okay, and now in every single front loop, what you will be doing from this point out is making a half double crochet increase. So that just means 2 half double crochet stitches inside every front loop. So I'm coming here into my first front loop. I'm going to weave this yarn tail over the hook so I can weave it in as we go. Come and pull the yarn through first, and then pull the yarn through all 3 loops on the hook, and that is my first half double crochet stitch. Wrap the yarn again, come into the same front loop, pull the yarn through. You've got 3 loops on the hook, and then you're just going to pull the yarn through those 3 loops on the hook. And there you go. That is your first half double crochet increase right there for the hat. And you're going to complete that another 9 times in total so that you have 10 in total. And then we're going to slip stitch in the very first increase and pull the yarn through and cut it. We've just finished our final and 10th half double crochet increase there. So I'm going to come to the very first half double crochet stitch that we made, come into that stitch and just make a slip stitch and pull the yarn through and just leave yourselves about maybe a 10 centimeter tail, because we're just going to weave that in a little bit later to hide it. And you can also weave it underneath the hat, or, you know, we'll do that together anyway. So for this yarn tail over here, because we already wove it in for a few of those stitches, we're going to cut it straight off. So it's already been woven in, so we don't need to worry about that anymore. And there we go. So we are looking fantastic at this point. We've got a nice broad brim, and you just want to keep it as flat as you can. Now, if this ends up being too long in length for you, feel free to make it single crochet increases, or just increases all the way around, not half double crochet increase, but completely up to you how you want to do that. So there we go. There's the hat. We're going to weave this yarn tail in a little bit later, but now we're going to start the wings and then the tail, and then we'll sew all together, put the eyes on, the beak, and then we'll be done. Okay, so let us make the wing now. Now with the wing, it's not tricky, but we do have some extra little things that we need to be aware of as we're making that wing. So let us do that now. You're going to need white and black. We will be changing colors between white and black as well. So start with your black colored yarn and just make 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. And on that final 6th stitch, I'll show you in just a minute. So let's make 6 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here's the 6th and final single crochet stitch inside the magic ring. And before you finish here, you're going to change yarn colors to white. So grab your white colored yarn, pull the yarn through those 2 loops on the hook, pulled through, fantastic. And then you're going to grab this short tail right here, pull the magic ring nice and neatly together so you close that magic ring. And then from over here, you're going to insert your hook. So make sure you're pulling this a little bit tight so that this white on the hook is not loose. Nice and tight right there. Come into the very first stitch space of that round. Grab your 2 yarn tails. You can even grab 3 if you wanted to. And then make your slip stitch. Just like that. Pull these yarn tails so you're getting them nice and tight. So you've just made the slip stitch and now chain 1. And from this point forward for round number 2, you're just going to be making increases in every single stitch space. So the first couple, I'm just going to weave in these yarn tails. Just the first maybe 2 increases, I will do that. So there's the first increase now finished, and then coming here, let's make the second increase, and then I don't have to weave in those yarn tails anymore. So 1 and 2. There we go. I'll leave those yarn tails over there, and I'll just continue on making now my 6 increases. So that's the 3rd increase. Here's the 4th increase, the 5th increase, and the 6th and final increase of round number 2. And before you finish that 6th increase, you're going to grab your long black yarn and then just weave that through those 2 loops on the hook. Come to the very first stitch space, have the white long yarn tail over the hook as you make that slip stitch. And this time you're not going to chain 1. So these are the little things that I want you to be aware of here. So you're not chaining 1 at this point. Instead, you're coming into the very first stitch space. You don't need to weave in any yarn tails at this point. And you're just going to make a slip stitch. And make those slip stitches a little loose, like not too tight. So there's my first slip stitch. Here's my second slip stitch. My 3rd, and so you'll be making 10 in total. So let's just make those 10. So that's 4, I think. Here's either 4 or 5. I don't know. I can't remember. But there should be 10 in total. There we go. Make them a little bit looser as well. We're almost done. And let's just count how many we have at this point. I think we've done 9 right here, and this must be number 10 slip stitch, just like that. Then you're going to come into that very first black slip stitch, grab your white colored yarn, not the black, and then pull this through, then pull it through to make that slip stitch and chain 1. There we go. So this time we are chaining 1 with that white. Now from here we are also needing to be very careful because we are not working in the black this time. We are going to turn this around, and can you see those white stitches all the way around? We're working in the white. Now if you can't get in both the front and back loops, just work in the front loops, no problem at all. But you just want to get in those white back stitches. The first one is probably the most toughest, and you're going to be making an increase in the first 7 of those. First 7 stitches of those you'll be making an increase. So there, I'm in both the front and back loops, but if you can only get into your front loop, that's more than fine. And for the next 7 stitches you're going to be making an increase in all of those spaces. So this is the first increase right there. Coming over here, we're making the second increase, 1 and 2. The third increase, and it's actually not too difficult to get into the front and back loops after you've done that very first one. So there's the third, here's the fourth, the 5th increase coming right up, the 6th increase, 1 and 2, and then the 7th increase, and this is the final increase you're making with white, 1 and here's the 7th. You're going to change your yarn color back to black, and yes, that black yarn, you can either cut it from that point and reattach it if you'd like, or because we are sewing this section anyway, it's not going to be visible, so you can kind of just drag it across if you'd like to as well. And from here, in the next stitch space of those whites, you're making increase first, 1 and 2. Then you're going to make in the next one an increase as well, but a different type of increase. You'll make first a half double crochet stitch, and then wrap the yarn again, come into the same space and make a double crochet stitch. 1, there we go. So that is the half double and the double crochet stitch in the same stitch space. In the next stitch space, you're going to be working the following. Wrap the yarn twice, come into the stitch space, pull the yarn through, and finish off pulling through 2 loops at a time. So you're pulling through 2, 2, and 1 last 2, and that is what we call a treble crochet. Then we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. Then you won't go in these chains right here, but can you see this side stitch of your treble crochet stitch? That's what you want to go into. So it's just after those 2 chains. Work the side right there until you have those 2 loops on your hook, and pull the yarn through and make a slip stitch into that loop on the hook. That's called a picot stitch or a picot stitch. I forgot the exact pronunciation there. I'll have to check it out. And then from here, you'll wrap the yarn twice again, come into the same white stitch space, pull up the yarn, and complete that treble crochet stitch. 2, 2, and 2, just like that. In the next one, you've got 2 white stitches left over. So in the first one, you are making the double crochet stitch first, then wrap the yarn, come into the same stitch space, and make your half double crochet stitch. And in the final one, we will just make an increase. So that's 2 single crochet stitches. And then come to the very first stitch and pull the yarn through to make a slip stitch. And there we go. You can also pull the black yarn through. Grab your pair of cutters and leave yourselves maybe a 15 centimeter tail. I seem to always be cutting a little bit more. And then do the same for the white, because you're going to be using both the white and the black yarn tails to sew that wing in place. And then with these two yarn tails, remember we already wove these in. If you haven't already, go weave them in at the back and then cut them. And there we go. So you're going to need to make 2 wings in total, as you can see here, but that is all you need to do for the wings. Well done, guys. We are now going to make the tail. So for the tail, you can leave yourself a little bit of a yarn tail here. And then you're going to just grab your black yarn and make a slip knot. There we go. From here, you're going to chain 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you've just got 12 chains here, or 12 loops, and now you're going to come into the second loop from the hook and make a single crochet stitch, and then you're just going to work single crochet stitches all the way down the length of the chain. So there will be 11 single crochet stitches down the length of this chain. So I'll let you guys do that, and then all you'll need to do is pull the yarn through and cut yourselves about a 10 centimeter yarn tail as well. And I'll show you, actually we may as well just do this together since we're right here. So I'm just going to complete these, find a few single crochet stitches. 1, 2, and here's the last one in the last loop, and just cut this off. Give yourself about 15 centimeters, 10 to 15, and there we go. So all we want to do with this yarn tail here is kind of cross it over like this. Can you see how I just crossed it over? And then with these 2 yarn tails, you can kind of weave them up here, or you can, yeah, I would weave them through the back up here and then sew this part at the very tippy top to the back of your bird. Something like that. So we might pin this in place right now, just so we've got an understanding of the placement of that little birdie tail right there at the back there. There we go. So that's the tail. Now we just have the beak and then some sewing to go. And now we're just going to work on the beak section, which is actually very simple as well. We're just going to grab our black yarn again, make a slip knot, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then come in the very first loop. So technically that means you're skipping the very first one, the very second one, and you're just coming straight into this very first loop, and you'll just make an increase. 1 single crochet stitch there, and finish off that increase. 2, whoopsie, get all the yarn on your hook. Don't miss out a strand like I accidentally just did right there. There we go, we've got it. There it is. And then we just pull this yarn through to finish it off. And cut yourself about 10 centimeters worth as well. So there we go. There is our beak. This is your pointy side. And these 2 ends is what you're going to use to sew to the bird face. And that's all you do. Alright, so we've made everything, and now we're about to sew things together. Okay, so we're going to start sewing now. So let's start off with the hat. Do you remember the hat? We have that yarn tail. So all I'm going to get you to do is kind of weave the sewing needle through these back stitches, just a couple of them, and then into the body to completely hide that in place. So I'll just pull that through, and that is now done. So I'll pull that. I don't want to disform this section here, so I'm just going to pull it until we've got a nice shape, and then from here I'm just going to cut the yarn. So that's the hat now done, woven in place and finished. Okay. Next thing we want to do is pin these wings on the side of the bird, and they kind of slope down a little bit. So we can just slope it down, but make sure they're centered here. And again, it just kind of slopes down a little bit. We're going to use this white yarn tail to sew in around this section here, just in a couple of places. And then we're going to use the black yarn tail to sew around here. So let us do that now. Okay, so my white yarn tail is through my leather needle, and I'm going to come in first to about this section right here. We've already pinned it in place, so this is great because we don't have to hold this in place as we're going along. And we're just going to, remember, come up a few stitches. Now if you can't bend that needle in place at the beginning, just poke it out somewhere else in the body, and then come back into the same stitch space and then come further in. That way you're getting the stitches at the same time. Okay, so we'll just keep doing that in a few of these places. Come down here. I'm just going to come and work myself out the body again. Pull that through. And then I'll come back into this stitch space, find another section. And you can see we're just outside that black line there in round number 3 of our wing. Okay, and I'll just keep doing this until I finish the white section. There, and maybe we'll just do one more to set it in place. One more white. Let's come right here, I think. This is a good position. And then come across the top here, just like that. And then we will have the yarn tail come out over here. Nicely done. We can remove that pin. Now we're going to do the same for the black, just along at the back here, along here. And then we'll have this yarn tail woven out here, or emerge at the same space. Tie these together in a double knot and then put it inside, and then repeat for the second wing. And that is all you need to do for the sewing. So I'll let you guys now finish those off. You've seen the technique. We're just sewing around this black third round of our wing. We have just finished sewing on those wings, so that's what it should look like now. Now with the tail, remember we had 2 yarn tails. So with one of them, you're actually going to, in the back portion of this tail feather, we're going to just weave our needle through all of these little back ridges. And the reason we're doing this is so that we can make it a little bit tougher. It's not like super soft and squishy and malleable, things like that. So we are going to have our yarn tail come all the way to the end there. Just one of those yarn tails. I'll show you what we do with the other one in just a moment. But this is the first yarn tail. Weave it through the eye of a needle. And then since we have got it through all of these little ridges at the back here, we're going to pull it all the way through. Pull, 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 until we've gone right up to the end, and just makes it a little bit more tough. And then you can cut this one directly off. We don't need that anymore. And then with this yarn tail, what we are going to do is, remember how I said we're going to fold this in sort of that half direction? So we need to weave this at the back as well until you get to about just below the halfway point. So grab the back there, weave your yarn tail. Actually, you don't need to weave the yarn tail. You can do this. I'll show you what to do. Grab this, grab your yarn tail, weave it through the back eye of your needle so you can pull it through. And then let's just fold this so we've got an idea of how this is going to look. And then we're just going to go up, down, up, just like that so far. So we've folded this in place. And then come around to the side here, and this is where we're going to just clip these 2 together. Can you see that? I know it's black and a little bit dark, but we've just basically put these 2 together. Just like that. And then we can weave through any stitch space at this point at the top. And then, right at the top here, we can sew these 2 portions together, just so it's nicely in place and it doesn't come apart. And just keep going, poking it through up and down so that you're just getting those 2 pieces together. And now you are ready to stick this yarn tail on the birdie at any point. It kind of comes down the back here, and it follows the flow of that white back. So you're just going to have it down here, right in the middle of those 2 wings. You're going to come into your white yarn, hold in place, and then come at the top, and you're just basically going to sew it in place right at the top here. Nicely done. So you can weave in and out of those 2 little stitch spaces, come back here, come back out over here. We're just going back and forth now until it is secured in place. coming up here. And that's really all. You're just sewing right at the top there. You don't need to sew anywhere else. Right at the top, and we'll just come down here one more time. And have the yarn tail maybe come out at the end over here. Pull it nice and tight. You've got a little piece left over from that other yarn tail, so we're just going to cut that. Pull this. This yarn tail is nicely in place now. Sorry, this birdie back feather is in place. So there we go. So that's done, and we'll just leave this here just for now, because when we have our bird or another yarn tail that we use, we'll come out at the same spot and tie those two pieces together. Okay, so that is the wings and the tail feather done, hat done. We just need to do the beak and the eyes. Okay, so now we've got this beak right here at the top. You want to center it between these two wings, and it comes down about one. So let's have a look where this hat is. So here's the hat. So there's the hat lining here. 1, 2, 3 rows below that. 1, 2, 3. So you're going to come into some of those stitch spaces and just really sew the beak in its place. I'm going to come in the middle of those 2 stitch spaces, come up, and all we're doing is just sewing in place. Should be nice and simple. At least we hope it's simple. So here we go. Here's the third one coming out on the side here. It's already looking really good. And then we'll just come out and have our yarn and needle come through the corner there. Come through the same stitch space and come out the side over here. Pull it up. As you can see, it's pulling itself up. I hope you can see that, because we're only doing the lining right here. And then with this yarn tail, we'll just come into that same stitch space on one of the corners and then come into this emerge stitch so we can tie these two pieces together. So that's all we're doing for the beak. And remember, we still have our yarn tail down here. We'll use that later. So pull this through. Nicely done. Come through here. Reshape that beak if you can, so you've got the tip at the top, and then from there you're just going to tie these 2 yarn tails together in a double knot. Pull harder on that second double knot, and then cut the yarn and push this section inside. And that there is the end of the beak, as you can see. Okay, so we've just finished and completed the beak, so now we have just a couple more things to go. Just the eyes, and actually this lining in this V shape that is usually present on our beautiful Kpop bird as well. So let's do that together. So you can see here how I'm trying to start these eyes. You're just going to have to find a place where it works best, because you're going to need 3 of these eyes, and you don't have to do it the exact same way as me as well. You could just have 3 lines horizontally going down, or whatever you'd like there. But we need to work little triangles to make our eyes. So here's our second eye. I'm thinking it's going to be placed here, and this is why you need a relatively sharp needle as well, so you can get in all the little crevices, because it won't just be where those stitch spaces are. So we're coming here. Here's one, and our third eye will start over here. So let's just have a look at this. Let's see what it looks like. So I'm pulling that down. That looks pretty good. Nice. And our third eye will start here, come here, and then where's that midpoint? We're going to come and find that midpoint. Oops, let's not get fiber filling out there. Find the midpoint. Needs to be a sharp needle, remember, so you can find that midpoint. We're getting it, and then we keep moving the needle out. There we go. And then we need to go straight back into that midpoint to finish it off. And there we go. So those are the 3 eyes for one side, and I just want you to repeat it on the other side. And once you've completed those 3 eyes on both sides, you'll have the 2 yarn tails emerge again like we've been doing before in the same stitch space. Tie them together in a double knot and then cut away the excess yarn once you've done that. And stick in the excess yarn plus the knot inside that stitch space to hide. Okay, so we've done the eyes now, and finally we need to add a couple of these V shapes along the white row here. So that's exactly what we're going to do now. Just add some V shapes with our black colored yarn across the length of our bird. Okay, so I've just got my black yarn here, and I'm going to come up right to the top over here, leave myself a little bit of space right here, and then I'm going to just make one line, just one line. Technically they're meant to be circles, but one line is just going to be enough. Super simple for us to do, and we're just going to keep doing that one stitch space apart at the top here. And we'll just make 4. I think 4 is a perfect number. Then we can come down a little bit over here and just make some feet, or what we think looks like the feet. So that's between, if we count from the back here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, between 6 and 7. Let's come over here, and we can just make one line coming straight down. And then just from there, make 3 little points. So 2 diagonal and 1 straight. So here's 1, 2, and I'll just have the third one coming around here, 3. And then we'll make the other foot on the complete other side. So there's our first foot. Just something that looks good there. And then have it come down to that same row as well. Have 2 diagonal, 1 straight, and finally our final diagonal. You're really just kind of making this up on the spot here. This is the first time I'm doing it too, but we're just trying to get 2 feet. There we go, we've got 2 feet here, and feel free to use smaller yarn if you'd like to as well, but at least we've got those 2 feet, so we're really completing off that bird. And then with those 3 yarn tails now, you're just going to make a double knot as we normally do, and then cut the yarn tails above the knot and push in the excess yarn to officially hide that in place. And there we go. Now these aren't perfect feet, and I'm sure you guys can make perfect feet, but in any case we have something that looks like feet. We've got the tail right here, we've got the hat, we've got the beak, we've got the eyes, the lining across here, the wings. This is looking great. And there we go, we have our beautiful Kpop Sussie bird. I think that's how you call him, her, I don't know. So there you go, there we go. We have the Kpop bird all finished and ready to go. Add your keychains at the top of the head if you'd like to have a keychain. And that's it. I guess I'll see you in the next one, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Please give this video a thumbs up, comment that you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next tutorial video. Thanks, guys. Bye.